I don't know where. Okay. Welcome, everyone. We're going to try to get started. Yes. Salinas, you're going to get the. David, please. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing District and District Arts and Education and the Holberton School to host this event. A couple of quick words about who we are. So in 1980, if you were starting your career, you were going off into biology or human resource management or education, and somebody came up to you and said, you know, you should really minor in finance. Odds are good that you'd say, why? And the reality is that the discipline of finance became central to any career over the last 30, 40 years. That's what computer science is now, right? Fundamentals of coding, of computer science are central to any and every discipline going forward. So who we are, District Arts and Education, we're attacking that problem on a vertical and a horizontal. Vertical, deep dive computer science education, the Holberton School here in New Haven, 2-year program, designed to be accessible to individuals who can't do traditional education for financial or other reasons. So we're a 2-year accelerated program, no tuition up front. We're a nonprofit. We have a pay it forward income share model. And so after you graduate, you get a job, pay a small percentage of your salary forward back into the school, and we can host the next generation of computer scientists, right? And then horizontal, we offer lots of no cost or very minimal cost programs to high school students, teachers, citizens on basic computer science literacy, basic coding. So that's kind of where you are right now. I appreciate your indulgence in letting me share that with you. If any of you'd like to stick around and have a tour of the facility, we'd love to do that, which is a step up from the normal pitch, which is we've locked the doors, you must take a tour of the facility before you leave. Okay. Didn't go over. So again, thank you for being here. It's my pleasure to introduce you rather to the state's Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Josh Cabal.
All right, thanks, Al. Great to be here. And I'd also like to recognize and thank David Salinas, who is in here somewhere, standing in the back. So David is the founder of District, which is this building we're in, which, believe it or not, it's hard to imagine at this point, but 2 years ago, this was an abandoned, dilapidated bus warehouse or garage that David had the vision to turn into what is now, I think, probably one of the most amazing tech communities in the nation, really, including Holberton School, which is a big tenant here, which is doing such incredible work that Al's helping to lead. So thank you for having us, as always, and congratulations on the incredible success you guys have had here. So I have to say, it's great being in front of a microphone not talking about COVID. I'm sure the governor shares that view. But I would just say that this is timely and related to COVID, because I think as a result of the hard work of the people of Connecticut under the governor's leadership, the fact that we've got COVID under control at the moment, we got a lot of people taking another look at Connecticut right now, right? And we're seeing a really hot real estate market. We're seeing, with those smart people coming into Connecticut, bringing ideas about new jobs and about growth and opportunity. And so while we've been fighting COVID up in Hartford with much of the state team, there's actually been a group of people who've still been forging ahead on the governor's vision for modernizing and streamlining state operations and making this state an easier place to do business. And so one of our first initiatives in line with the governor's vision was to try to attack this patchwork of websites and rules and regulations and confusing requirements that businesses have to navigate to be able to do business in Connecticut, and replace all of that with one modern, clear, and actually helpful website. And so today, we're excited to announce the launch of that website, Business.CT.gov. And if I can ask everyone over here to stand back a little bit, we got a little video to introduce the concept.
I'm going to take the lead investing in the first all-digital government, a one-stop shop for everything our citizens need. We will be online, not in the line.
So as of today, you can go on Business.CT.gov and get everything you need to know about starting or growing a business in Connecticut. Most importantly, if you're starting a new business, there is a very cool tool that will step you through exactly what you need to do to get a business up and running without having to go and search for all that information on your own and navigate all of our state silos and different organizations and requirements. In fact, we've estimated that this site will help reduce the amount of time that a small business founder has to invest in starting up a new business by over 90%, and potentially also save them thousands of dollars that often have to get invested in lawyers and accountants to help figure this out for them. Now, some people might ask, we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. Why are we talking about starting businesses? Is anyone actually doing that today? And in fact, when you look back at the height of the pandemic here in Connecticut between March and June, which was really our most challenging time, even before, more in July, we've had the infection rates below 1% all month, and we've got hospitalizations basically down to a very low level. Back in that very challenging period of time, March to June, there were actually hundreds of new businesses started here in the state of Connecticut. 236 new businesses providing personal services, over 300 new businesses for residential remodeling and contractors, probably playing to some degree on that hot real estate market. Over 200 professional services businesses, so this is marketing and consulting and accounting and so forth. 171 new e-commerce businesses, so people capitalizing on the demand of people wanting goods delivered right to their door, and hundreds of others. So we're thrilled actually to have two of those small business owners here with us today. And I'd first like to introduce one of those 236 people who started a personal services business in the middle of a pandemic, Amber Cancellieri, hopefully I got Cancellieri, sorry, who saw a real business opportunity in the salon business, recognizing that a lot of people, even as we get to a good place in this state, want to stay home and would rather have the salon experience brought to them. And so, like all entrepreneurs, Amber took the risk and went through the process of starting her business, and we're thrilled to have her here to hear her story and some of the challenges she went through starting that business and how this can help. Come on, Amber.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share a little bit about myself and my experience as a new business owner. My name is Amber Cancellieri, and I am the owner of Hair by Amber. I am a traveling hairstylist giving a new take on the traditional salon experience. I travel directly to your home and provide you with top quality hair services. I started my business during this pandemic because I recognized a need for a safer option rather than going into a brick and mortar hair salon. Shortly after I started Hair by Amber, I was contacted by the Business.Connecticut.gov team to understand what it was like setting up my small business. I was surprised and humbled that I was contacted by our state government, and I was happy to outline the challenges that I had faced and how the process could be improved. I was fortunate to have family and friends with experience starting the small businesses, and with their help and the help of the internet, I was able to navigate the old, not so user-friendly process. In order to complete everything that was required to begin my business, I had spent several hours throughout multiple nights, only to have to start over at times because I wasn't able to finish it during the business hours. I could have used a lot of this time securing supplies and working on marketing necessary for my startup. I am a mother of 2 young children and a husband that works full-time, and finding the free time could be really challenging. So I'm excited that Business.Connecticut.gov has put together a streamlined process for the new business owners. This process will be a one-stop shop for the new entrepreneurs, and this will save everyone some valuable time and ensure the process is completed correctly. I look forward to using this new platform in the future as I continue to conduct business in the state of Connecticut. So thank you for listening to my experience, and I hope to see some of you for a new haircut soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. So Amber's based in Essex, so anyone out there who is looking for styling at their home, go Hair by Amber online. So we're going to go from hair styling to another related industry, augmented reality and virtual reality, and I'm going to call up Ted Dinsmore to take us in a kind of violent change in industry here to really, but at the same time, it's similar in the sense that an industry that is being reshaped by COVID in terms of consumer demand and opportunities to create value. Ted, I will just say, because he won't introduce himself properly and give himself all the accolades, he's a serial entrepreneur. He's founded actually at least 3 businesses I know of. In the high-tech space. He also has the distinction of being the first entrepreneur to be awarded a patent here in district, so that's a pretty cool feather in his cap. But doing some incredibly innovative stuff, really groundbreaking right here in New Haven. So Ted, come on up. Man who knows technology and starting a business in Connecticut.
Thank you, Josh. You took half my speech, though. I was all about what I was going to say. So yeah, I just want to thank Josh and the governor for this initiative to move forward in digitalization of Business.CT.gov. Because really, we need this. As a businessman, and I'll stop a little bit myself, I am president of SphereGen Technologies. We are here in the district. We do augmented reality, virtual reality, and robotic process automation software. We've had the opportunity to create 2 other companies. One is called DICOM Director, which is helping surgeons operate remotely through COVID. We've actually had operations in Uganda done by surgeons in New York, and also for them to see things 3-dimensionally. Because we are 3-dimensional beings, we actually take CAT scans and MRIs and make 3-dimensional models. We have another business we started out of the district here called Visor, which someday you'll use, I hope, because we take for eye test. So when you do an eye test, it's traditionally an older way of doing it. We actually have augmented reality version, and that was our patent around holographic refraction. So through that process, I've started 3 different companies here in just the past couple years, and it is challenging to go through all the processes. And I got to say, there are many groups in the state that have helped us. CT Innovations is now here in the district, which is one of our partners in one of our companies. I helped with some investment. CT Next, I got to have a shout out to them because they've been great with the helping with internships and all kinds of growth things we've done. And CT Economic Development Corporation, I got that wrong, sorry. DECD, I hope everybody knows what that one is. They've helped with grants that actually have allowed us to take our message internationally. We actually represented Connecticut in the healthcare industry in Dubai last year, which was just amazing to have a state agency help you take your message globally. So that was a really great thing. And we do a great partnership with Quinnipiac University, University of New Haven here for internships and people to come in. And Halberton has had some of their students have joined us. So we have a great community in Connecticut of education and great technology with our doctors and great technical people. And the state has really been helping with that, but it is hard to navigate. Absolutely. Amber said it well. You have to navigate all these different websites to figure it out. So bringing that all together, I really think it's a great thing. And thank you for doing it. Thank you for continuing it. And we look forward to this going out to multiple areas to help small businesses in Connecticut. Thank you.
So as you can hear, we're aiming here to save small businesses time and money, but even more important is the message that we're trying to send, that we put customers first in the Lamont administration and in state government, and we're really trying to give people the modern tools that they expect and that they deserve. And so this has been a huge team effort to get to this point, an amazing collaboration across state agencies and different parts of government in a way that I don't think we've traditionally been known for. And so I want to thank a number of our teammates across government who've been collaborators in this effort. And first and foremost, I want to call up our amazing Secretary of State, Denise Merrill, who's been a real driver of this, an advocate for this for many years, and has really helped keep us going and get to this first major milestone. Secretary Merrill.
Well, thank you so much, Josh. And you're right. We've been waiting a long time for this moment. So I want to publicly thank the governor and Josh for their strong leadership on this. You know, the Office of the Secretary of State, some of you may or may not know, is the place where we register businesses. So traditionally, a lot of businesses, when they first want to launch, come to our site or get to us somehow. And after that, it's a bit of a maze. And it's a massive effort. It's so much more than a website, I can tell you. This is a comprehensive plan to bring together multiple agencies to collaborate in having a single experience for every customer, because that's the way we look at the people that come to us. And I don't think any other state has honestly been able to accomplish this. It is a big effort. It doesn't sound like it, but every agency has different ways of doing business and collecting data. So once a person comes to us and says, hey, I want to start a business, what do I do? We can register them, but after that, there are tax things they have to do, so that's DRS. There are labor implications. They have to go to the Department of Labor. Multiple agencies, depending on what industry they're in. They may need permits from Consumer Protection. So this is an effort to bring all that into one place so the customer doesn't have to navigate all that. We do that all through the technology, and that's what it has required for many years, a real serious investment in the technology to make this happen, and the people who understand how to do that. So I couldn't be more proud of being part of this effort. It'll take us a while to get it fully rolled out, but it is so worth the effort. And now, of course, more than ever, people are demanding a way to interact online effectively. And that's what we're going to be able to offer here in Connecticut for the first time. So I'm very proud of this. Thank you very much for your leadership, both of you. Thanks.
Thank you, Secretary Merrill. Just want to give a quick shout out to some of my colleagues in the administration who, through their direct leadership and their teams, have been key partners in this. DECD Commissioner David Lamont, Deputy Commissioner Glenn Thames is here. Department of Consumer Protection Commissioner Michelle Siegel is here. Department of Revenue Services Acting Commissioner John Biello. Department of Labor Commissioner Kurt Westby. Advanced CT President Peter Denius, and many others. This is the team that's been working through the middle of this pandemic remotely to get to this first major milestone for Business.CT.gov. I would also like to give a very special and a special shout out to State Representative Carolyn Simmons, who's here, who is another one of the key reasons that we're at this point. She commissioned a study, how many years ago? 2 or 3 years, 4 years ago now, to make sure that the state was studying and recognizing that this was a problem that needed to get solved. And I remember, I think, when we first got here, she was beating down our door saying, we got to do this. And she's been pushing and pushing, and she's a key reason that this is happening as well. So thank you, Representative Simmons, for your leadership in the legislature. So this has been a big team effort, and that team effort will continue as we add more features in the months to come. But the most important catalyst for all of this has been Governor Lamont. As our first governor in a long time who comes from the private sector and who really gets technology, he focused early on the need to modernize state government and in our operations. And he fought in his first budget, as many know, to establish funding for a digital services team, small but mighty, and that's the group that's been leading this work. And we've got 2 of our teammates, Max and Tom. We brought in some amazing talent from the outside to help lead this work. And by the way, Max is manning the PC, so after we're done, if you actually want to he can click you through the website up on the wall up there. Of course, you can go on your phone right now or your PC and do it yourself, but he'll do little demos over there after we're finished. So great job to the digital services team. But it's really Governor Lamont's vision and commitment that's gotten to this point, and thank him for that. And Governor Lamont.
First of all, David and Al and the district team here, I always love coming back here. We keep coming back. I started up my own little business about 40 years ago. Ted, it was a telecom business, called it cable TV back then. And it was just 15 entrepreneurs. We all shared office space, but you all lived together. And if somebody won that contract, we were all there cheering. I remember it like yesterday. And occasionally, if you had a customer or would-be customer coming up to see you, we'd have all the other entrepreneurs up there walking by going, hey, boss, good to see you, just so they didn't think we were a one-man operation. And I know, Amber, you got some of that same entrepreneurial spirit, but it really is the future of the state. We've always been a great entrepreneurial state. lost a little bit of our mojo, and now we're getting it back. And you're right, Josh. Early on, I remember I was calling up the Secretary of State's office, Denise, before your time, I might add, saying I desperately need a certificate of organization or I can't get my RFP in. And, you get an answering machine, and I'd send postage paid FedEx to get it back. And now we're moving this process online. I've always said Connecticut has a bad case of the slows, our government does, and we got to do everything we can to speed things up. That's what we were talking about when I said no more inline, online. And back when we said that a year and a half ago, I was thinking, as you just heard, that online would make our government more efficient, would make it more customer friendly, save taxpayer dollars, and be better for each and every one of you in the business community so we could get back to you fast. But, COVID has just reminded us there's another reason we're doing this. Caroline was, at 3 o'clock in the morning a couple of days ago as we put in place the new telehealth measures. Ted, it took us a while to catch up, but now we're compensating for telehealth the same way we do for an in-office visit and making sure that our regulations can keep up with what's going on in technology, and we can provide more access to health care at a lot less cost. Yesterday, we announced that we've purchased now aggregate about 110,000 Chromebooks because telelearning is going to be a necessity as well as an augmentation to education, everything we got to do there, and make sure that no kid is left behind, no kid is stuck on the wrong side of the digital divide, to make sure they can continue their learning. We're doing everything we can to make sure our kids can get back into the classroom this fall, but we also got to make sure that for those that can't go back, don't feel comfortable going back, or if we go backwards in terms of COVID, we're ready. And that's another thing we learned in terms of telelearning and where we're at. I can just take a short pause to tell you that the numbers are still really good for Connecticut, and I'm so proud of our state and so proud that everybody here, except for me, is wearing a mask right now, and what a difference that made. It made a lot of other states had to learn this example. We didn't have to learn it. We already did it. Again, we did about 13,000 tests yesterday. Less than 1% tested positive, 0.6%. It's bumping along a little bit, but that really is best in the country. And you combine that with the fact that hopefully our schools are going to be open, and hopefully with the fact that telecommuting now reminds all you hip young millennials that you don't necessarily have to be in that train to New York City every day. Maybe once or twice a week is good enough, and the rest of the time you can do it here. There's a lot of amazing new energy behind the state of Connecticut. Josh mentioned our phones are ringing off the hook with people looking to move up here. And where people go and where talent goes, and Holperton's all about talent, businesses are soon to follow. Either we start them up right here or they come to the state. And we had to make it easier for people to navigate the labyrinth of all the regulations and permits necessary to get through. Something that Denise has been talking about since I first met her. These are type of things we talk about forever in government, and sometimes just talk about it every 4 years of the election cycle. Not here. We got this done. And what this means for a business, if you're a widget manufacturer in Omaha and you're thinking about Connecticut, and what do you know, you can go to this site. And I went to the site, Peter. I wanted to know whether this thing was for real, and I had heard a lot about these opportunity zones, and these are zones, in a city, probably in an underserved area where I can get some incredible tax incentives provided by the federal government, and what were those sites located, and what could you do? And I can go to this location. I get these questions answered. Not only the permits, but the tax, everything I need to know, workforce, the package going forward. And if you're older and can't navigate, we also have a concierge service to make it even easier for you going forward. And so congratulations to the entire team that helped put this together. Special thanks to DECD for taking the lead on this, Gwendolyn. What enormous difference it's going to make. So now it's our job to get the message out. You can go to this website. You can get all your questions answered, and you're going to find out why Connecticut is an amazing place either to start a business or to move your business. Thank you, everybody.
did this start, by the way, this process of putting this together?
So it started after the budget was passed last summer, and the funding was set aside to create this digital services team. There's an RFP process that came from that, and this project kicked off about 7 months ago, I think. Sure.
So there's a tone of surprise in your voice just about what the reaction has been and the intense business interest, both from outside the state as well as job creation. So has the administration sort of broken that down at all? I mean, you gave a little bit of back-of-the-envelope analysis on, remodeling stuff and stuff like Amber, where, okay, there's a market to do stuff at home, but anything deeper than that?
I think it's early days, Paz, in terms of analyzing the trends and the interest. Certainly, we see a lot of data. We hear a lot about the residential real estate market, particularly in the southern part of the state right now. There's a lot of momentum there, and as the governor said, with people come ideas and entrepreneurs and job creators and opportunity, and so we're very excited about the momentum that we're seeing there, but I think it's still early days.
When was this launched?
We had a kind of soft go live over the weekend, but it's being launched right here, right now.
I assume there were no problems then over the weekend?
Nope.
Do you have any sense of time frame? Navigating the labyrinth obviously must have taken months, weeks. Is this now compacted? Do you have any sense of how much faster it's all going to work?
So this first release is really focused on that research phase of the process, figuring out, all right, I'm going to start a at-home hair styling business. What do I need to do? Most people don't know the answer to that question and will spend hours and hours trying to figure it out. And if you're starting a salon business, or you're starting a restaurant, or you're starting a high-tech business, or you're starting a gas station, the answer to what you need to do is incredibly different. And so people will spend hours, often we're told tens of hours, and sometimes hiring expensive consultants to help them figure that stuff out. This, the checklist and the tool that's on this website now will ask you a progressive set of questions and get you the answer to that set of research around what you need to do in less than 10 minutes.
What's the timeline for the rollout of the rest of the functionality of the website? You said now it's focused on new businesses researching how to get into business.
Right.
Talk about the rest of that.
Right, so now so today you can get that checklist. Here's exactly what I need to do. You cut right to the chase and know exactly what you need to have. The next phase, which is going to be the rest of this year, is starting to integrate with the systems in all the agencies, whether it's Revenue Services or Secretary of State, where from that same site you can complete all those activities as well. Today you link out to the Secretary of State site, you do the work there, and then you come back. We're going to pull that all together into the same site as well. That also then, longer term, is the strategy for how we can actually start to sunset some of these old legacy systems, which are very old, very expensive to maintain, very clunky, and get it all into this modern look and feel that we have in Business.CT.gov.
Any estimates how much it might increase business-related revenue to the state?
No. Sky's the limit.
Where are you on the effort to have all the agencies better communicating technically? So if you have somebody who is a DSS client, that the other agencies can get a full picture of this person and their family's needs and how it's all fitting together.
So, great question. The question is, how does this all fit together, right, between different agencies? So this is the business one-stop. We're in parallel creating the citizen other side of the coin. So Paz mentioned people who may get benefits from DSS or people who interact with Department of Motor Vehicles. Every person in this state somehow interacts with state government. In parallel, we're building the citizen-centric version of this. And the benefits of both of those, you're going there, which is when you start to bring all the data together into one place, you can start to make these connections that we can't make today. And you can start to analyze the data in ways that bring out insights that can inform our legislature and our policymakers about ways that we can do things at the state smarter, better, have a greater impact, be more efficient in ways that we can't today. So while this is initially being rolled out as a benefit to citizens and to businesses to make their lives easier, it also gives the state a much richer set of insights into what's going on in the economy, how we can help serve people better, how we can make their lives easier. So this is a really important part of that journey as well.
or as you expect?
Yeah, we'll have a first release of the citizen parallel to this later in the fall, and we're starting there with the pilot agency we're working with there is the Department of Motor Vehicles. Everyone will be thrilled to know.
And as far as the next, Luther was talking about the next step, what's the timetable? He said the end of the year? I mean, is there something
Yeah,
more?
this like modern software development, this is going to be an iterative release. So every few months, we're going to have another release with more functionality being rolled out.
Chuck, one question I had was, earlier the governor's administration talked about streamlining within state government. He went to a shredding plant, I remember. And how does that connect with making it easier for businesses to connect with government at the same time? That within state agencies, things are more efficient. Are they combined together or are they separate? And what's happening on that track?
Yeah, no, great question about, what else are we doing to streamline state government and, I think reduce steps. Rather than bring all the steps together in one place, can we actually reduce steps and take some of the bureaucracy out of the process? And the answer is yes. We had a number of proposals to do that require legislative approval that unfortunately died in the last session, but we'll bring them back next session. There's enormous opportunity to streamline a lot of rules and regulations that really don't add a lot of value, or ways that we can combine things, make things easier, and that's certainly something we're also focused on.
Josh, I'd asked you this question yesterday. I'd like to ask the governor. I've been covering business in Connecticut for 23 years. And
Governor, you might want to go to the...
Oh, good point.
Thanks. Just trying to help. And it seems like every administration since the first Rowland administration has had something about one-stop shopping for business. If I'm a small business person looking to start out, why should I believe that it's going to work this time?
Because it's working right now. You're right. Every candidate for the last 30 years has talked about one-stop shopping and speeding up government and having a site where you can get all your questions answered. This is just chapter one, but I think you see the results of what happens. And look, Holberton knows something about talent and knows that ideas are cheap unless you have the talent in place to get it implemented. And I'm really proud that Josh doesn't come from your traditional background. It comes from somebody to run Department of Administrative Services. He had 12 years at IBM. And he mentioned Department of Motor Vehicles, and people thought it was a little strange when we had the head of IT from Aetna taking over DMV. But these are the people that have the skill set and the background and the talent, I think, to actually turn these promises into something real.
The initial investment that you guys talked about with the digital team and the RFP, do you have a dollar figure on that?
Yeah, there was in the initial budget to create the digital services team. It was $2 million over the biennium, so about $1 million a year. And then through the bond commission in January approved $10 million for this project.
So 12 so far.
Governor, were you surprised by what you're seeing on revenue coming in? I mean, we had a story today that I certainly found surprising. But what's your take, your analysis on what is happening there, and the extent to which there may be something that is sustainable?
All right, so there were some good revenue numbers, good expense numbers, good numbers in terms of our bottom line during the last fiscal year, and a little bit what we're looking for in this year. And I would just say it's much too early. We have no idea what this economy is going to look like. We have no idea whether we fall back due to some COVID surge elsewhere that impacts our economy. Some of those good numbers are related to the fact that we got some of our Medicare money early, so that was just lumpiness. Some of it's related to the fact that we were able to husband money in the rainy day fund, which we're going to use, puts us in a much stronger position compared to all of our peers. And Melissa McCaw, talking about talent, has a pretty sharp pencil, and she's really held the line on spending, and you saw a few $100 million in extra savings there. But we are not out of the woods. I mean, this is the only thing I got to tell your friend Keith Fanoff, is that a lot of this depends upon what we see coming out of the next supplemental from the federal government. We ought to know that in the next few weeks. I know.
But what about the other trends you're talking about? The phones are ringing off the hook about people wanting to come to Connecticut. What's your sense of that at this point? Is that a solid trend, or could that, is that as fragile as what happens with COVID in the fall?
I believe it's a solid trend. I think people have seen a new benefit to a lifestyle where you have working small cities that are safe, where maybe you have a small backyard, and let's say COVID is not the last time we're ever going to have to self-quarantine. I want to be a little better prepared next time around. I think it's a lifestyle where maybe you don't want to have to get in a train or get in a subway or get in an elevator 2 or 3 times a day. I think these are all trends that give a little wind to our back here in the state of Connecticut. I think it's here for a while.
What are your plans in terms of signing the police accountability bill and the other legislation that has been immediately transmitted to you? I don't know if you're planning any signing ceremonies. Obviously, I would assume your staff is going over and reading through the legislation to make sure it does what it is supposed to do.
We are going over the legislation, but we're ready to start signing these bills as early as tomorrow. I'll figure out the order. Look, we called the legislature into session. It was a special session. It was short in duration. We had 4 things in particular that we really wanted to take care of, and I salute the legislative leadership, Paul. I mean, they got it done. They got it done on time. They got it done with the parameters that we thought were really important. And Caroline, these are really important bills. That insulin bill is just amazing in terms of making sure that nobody's going to be bankrupted because of the fear of what those insulin costs are going to be. We talked about telehealth and how that's a trend for what we got to do going forward. Denise and I have been talking about the absentee ballot issue for a while, and those pictures of those people in Wisconsin and Georgia waiting in line, probably a COVID-infected line in some ways, was just enough that we got strong bipartisan support for something that's been stuck for a long time here in this state. And finally, I felt very strongly that the Police Accountability and Transparency Bill had to pass. I thought it was a good bill. I think it's a bill that I hope recognizes the amazing work that the Connecticut police and state police do. I think they are best of the breed around this country. I think you saw that after the George Floyd murder, and you saw the demonstrations and protests going on around the country, and you saw the violence, and you saw the arrests, and that didn't happen in Connecticut because our state police and our local police understand community policing and the importance of trust between the community and the police. And this bill does nothing but reinforce that and make sure that Connecticut stays a leader there, holding people accountable where it's not working, but building trust between the communities. So I'm ready to sign that bill.
Is there still some sort of confusion or misimpressions regarding school reopening and who decides how schools reopen? Do you have anything you want to say to clarify?
We said early on, Josh, me, and the public health experts, that we thought it was really important that kids get back in the classroom whenever we could do that. People thought that we could do that safely. We got all the feedback from all the superintendents across the state, and they really reconfirmed that, Paul. They said, in particular, for the lower grades, K through 5, we're going to do everything we can to make sure they're in the classroom. And frankly, for the high school, where it's tougher to cohort, tougher for people to keep within their class, probably that's going to be much more of a hybrid model. And so I think right now we're sorting that out. Look, we're going to work in collaboration with the superintendents, work in collaboration with the teachers, encouraging them, giving them confidence that we get people back to school safely, knowing the state's there to back them up when it comes to PPE, the state's there to back them up when it comes to the masks and disinfecting and all the protocols we need going forward. And hopefully, most importantly, these low infection rates continue, because we cannot open up our schools if we don't have a low infection rate.
If the school were to start seeing a spike in COVID or infections in the local community or in the schools, would it be at the state's discretion to close the school, or would it be up to the district?
Well, as you know, we've always done everything in collaboration. This has never been dictatorial. This has never been prescriptive. My instinct is, look, as long as the rates stay low, you're going to have a mix of in-classroom and some hybrid, as I just described. If the rates go up, if they get up to 10%, I think we'd have a strong recommendation that you close those schools. You know, people should know we were one of the first to, if they were up at that high a level, I would recommend that, absolutely. Then we'd collaborate with the schools and make sure, see where they were. You know, and then there's an in-between there where perhaps you figure out the school's got to be less densified. We're going to work these out with the schools and make sure we can get it done safely.
It sounds like when you say as a governor you would recommend it, that means it would ultimately be up to the district to make a decision and
Like I said, everything we've done so far, it hasn't been, you know, do this over my dead body. By the time we close schools, here's an example. When we said schools have to close because of the high COVID infection rate, 90% of our schools had already closed. So you're right, we were prescriptive for that final 10% of the schools that were holding out, and we thought it was dangerous. My hunch is you'll see a similar mindset going forward.
is there anything in the law in terms of public health of who trumps who in this case, you know, in terms of making the final decision? Is there anything in state law in terms of public health law who ultimately has the authority, you know?
We're not there yet. I tried to describe how we've done it for the last 4 months, and I think it's worked pretty well.
Governor, are you being pressured by the teachers' unions to have online school only?
Well, we did our own survey, and you saw our survey that said parents preferred getting their kids back to school, provided you could do it safely, and so did an overwhelming majority of teachers. So I've got to do everything I can to give teachers confidence that we are putting public health first. And I've got some work to do there, to tell you the truth. You know, there's some anxiety. But school doesn't work unless teachers are in the classroom. And if you're an older teacher, you have a pre-existing condition with a doctor's, you know, slip, we'll find a way for you to tele-learn another way so you don't have to put yourself at risk, just like we do with all the other sectors of our economy.
Governor, is there a mechanism in place to track folks who may be driving into Connecticut rather than flying into Connecticut? We don't know if Easy Pass would be one way, but if we have to.
Well, online Josh Jabal figured that people filling out a piece of paper when you land at Bradley Airport was going to miss an awful lot of people coming into the state of Connecticut. So now that is an online form that people fill out. If you're renting your car from, I don't know, do Avis and Hertz even exist still? When you're renting your car, you know, you're noticed that you have to fill this form. If you're coming into Connecticut, you have to fill that form. You know, to your question, are we punishing people at this point? No, but overwhelmingly people are filling it out. First 4 days, you probably heard me say we had over 5,000 people fill it out. That gave me some confidence they were filling it out. Still a lot of people from infected states coming to Connecticut. But
Are you getting people who are actually driving in from those states to fill out stuff?
yes, yes. Thanks, everybody.